The story of Conor McGregor vs. Dustin Poirier, UFC 264, a rivalry rekindled. It was the night of July 10, 2021, and the air in the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas was electric, buzzing with anticipation. UFC 264, the third chapter in a legendary rivalry, had arrived, and the stakes were higher than ever. The stars of this particular showdown were none other than the brash and charismatic Conor McGregor, the self-proclaimed notorious and the relentless heart and soul fighter Dustin "The Diamond" Poirier. Their story had been written in the ink of rivalry, but this night it was going to be sealed in blood and sweat. The rivalry, a tale of two fighters. To understand the magnitude of UFC 264, we first need to step back in time to the genesis of this rivalry. Conor McGregor was at the pinnacle of his career. With a brash persona, sharp tongue, and devastating knockout power, McGregor had stormed into the UFC, taking it by storm and becoming the first fighter in UFC history to hold two titles simultaneously. The world knew his name, and his name was synonymous with wealth, controversy, and dominance. On the other side, Dustin Poirier had always been the hard-working, humble fighter from Louisiana. He wasn't the loudest in the room, nor the one to make flashy headlines. What he had, though, was heart, grit, and determination. He had built his career one fight at a time, often overlooked, but never counted out. His journey through the UFC was one of resilience, as he fought against some of the best in the world. While McGregor was storming to the top, Poirier was on a quest of his own, chasing greatness in the shadows, learning, evolving, and improving with every fight. Their first meeting in 2014 was an exciting affair. McGregor was on his way to superstardom, and Poirier, while a talented fighter, was not yet in the spotlight. In what turned out to be a one-sided contest, McGregor delivered a devastating first-round TKO win, earning him even more fame. However, Poirier, a man of class, didn't let that loss define him. He went on to rebuild, climb the ranks, and eventually become one of the most feared lightweights in the world. Fast forward to 2021, and the rematch was set. But this time, Poirier wasn't just a contender. He was a legitimate title threat, fresh off a remarkable win over Conor McGregor once again, this time at UFC 257 in January 2021. Poirier had found his rhythm and was determined to avenge his loss from years ago, and it was clear from the build-up to UFC 264 that the story was far from over. The build-up, words, and controversies. The build-up to UFC 264 was anything but ordinary. McGregor, ever the master of mental warfare, had been using his sharp tongue to get under Poirier's skin. The Irishman's trash talk was more than just a tactic. It was a show, a spectacle, a way to get into his opponent's head and play mind games. But this time, something felt different. McGregor had been calling out Poirier relentlessly, poking fun at his charity work and questioning his intentions. There were even personal attacks involving Poirier's wife, Jolie, which only fueled the fire of animosity between the two men. This wasn't just about the title or the win anymore. This had become personal. Poirier, on the other hand, remained focused. He didn't get drawn into the circus that McGregor had created. Instead, Poirier was unwavering, determined to show the world that he had evolved. His message was clear. This wasn't the same Dustin Poirier who lost to McGregor back in 2014. This was a new, more dangerous version of himself, a fighter who had learned from his mistakes and was ready to prove it. He even spoke out against McGregor's antics, stating that while he had always respected his opponents, McGregor had crossed a line with his personal attacks. But Poirier remained focused on the task at hand, getting the win. As the days passed, the rivalry grew hotter. Trash talk filled the airwaves, with McGregor continuing to throw jabs while Poirier stayed silent, focusing on his training. The bad blood was palpable, and fans around the world were divided. Some cheered for McGregor's confidence and bravado, while others rooted for Poirier's class and resilience. The world couldn't wait for the night when these two would meet inside the octagon once again. The fight night, an explosive first round, the night of the fight arrived, and the anticipation was at an all-time high. The arena was packed, with fans in McGregor's signature proper 12 whiskey gear, and Poirier's loyal followers sporting the diamond's colors. It was an electric atmosphere, a clash of two fighters who had already proven themselves in the UFC, but were now fighting for something deeper than just the title. This fight was about legacy, redemption, and pride. Round 1 began with McGregor coming out aggressively, as expected. He immediately took the center of the octagon and began establishing his striking. His punches were sharp, crisp, and full of intent. The air was thick with tension as McGregor stalked his opponent, looking for the opening to land his patented left hand. Poirier, though, was calm, composed, and calculated. He had the blueprint now. Don't rush. Don't fall for McGregor's mind games, and pick your spots. And that's exactly what he did. Poirier, with his relentless pressure, began landing leg kicks that started to bother McGregor. With each strike, McGregor's stance seemed to change, his movement slower, more labored. McGregor, despite his fast start, appeared to be struggling against Poirier's leg kicks. But it was a sequence late in the first round that would change everything. As McGregor threw a punch and stepped back, he suddenly collapsed to the canvas, clutching his leg in agony. Poirier had landed another vicious leg kick, and McGregor's left leg had buckled. McGregor tried to recover, but the damage was too much. He was visibly hurt, and the referee, Mark Goddard, called for the doctor to assess the injury. The doctor's verdict was clear. McGregor's leg was broken, and the fight had to be stopped. The aftermath, a shocking end and controversy. The arena went silent, as the realization set in McGregor had lost, but not in the way anyone had expected. He had suffered a freak injury, a broken leg that forced the fight to be stopped after the first round. Poirier was awarded the victory by doctor stoppage due to McGregor's injury, and his victory was bittersweet. Poirier had won, but it wasn't the fight he had envisioned. There was no knockout, no submission, just an anticlimactic end to a brutal, high-stakes rivalry. In the aftermath, the world was left in shock. McGregor, now on the ground with his legs severely broken, had made a statement. As the fight ended, he could be heard shouting, "This is not over," vowing to return. Poirier, ever the sportsman, seemed to want to celebrate, but even he knew the nature of the win left a lot of questions. Poirier's win was marred by the circumstances surrounding McGregor's injury. The controversy didn't end there. McGregor, ever the showman, took to social media to vent. He claimed that Poirier had cheated by using illegal calf kicks, though Poirier's kicks had been legal. McGregor also questioned whether Poirier's win should be considered legitimate, given that the fight had ended due to injury. Poirier, on the other hand, took the high road, stating that he didn't wish for such an outcome, but had been the better fighter that night. The build-up, the hype, and the bad blood had led to this unexpected ending. McGregor, while injured, refused to concede, and Poirier had earned his victory. But the fight's conclusion left both men with questions. A story of redemption and rivalry. In the end, UFC 264 was not just another fight. It was a saga of two men who had been through fire and forged their legacy in the heat of competition. Poirier had emerged victorious, but there were no hands raised in triumph. Instead, it was a night that showed the true nature of their rivalry. It was about respect, redemption, and the undeniable will to keep fighting, no matter the odds. As McGregor made his exit from the octagon, limping on crutches, he declared that he would be back. Poirier, for his part, knew that the fight was far from over. McGregor would return, and this rivalry was far from settled. But for now, Dustin Poirier had his victory, a win that would go down in history, not just because of the circumstances, but because it was a testament to the heart of a fighter who had grown into a champion in his own right. It was a night filled with drama, tension, and the kind of rivalry that would echo through the halls of UFC history. Conor McGregor vs. Dustin Poirier. Round 3 may have ended with a broken leg, but the story was far from finished.